Hi, I'm Rachel Bohr, and welcome to IPS for Wedding Photographers. I'm really excited about this. I get a lot of questions about IPS for wedding photographers. IPS stands for in-person sales, by the way, which refers to the practice of sitting down with your clients after their images are ready and showing them those images in person and then helping them to decide what they want to order, usually selling products and tangible things in addition to digital images. So the number one question I hear all the time, does IPS work for weddings? Yes, it does. If you do two things, in my opinion. Number one, you have to believe in what you are offering. It's really important to remember that weddings are crazy and often overwhelming for couples. They have to make so many decisions and plan so many things. And by offering to print their memories for them, we can take another one of those major decisions off their plate and add huge value to them. When I was getting married, we hired a photographer who used kind of a shoot and burn model. And after the wedding, he delivered a CD with, get this, 1,200 images, unedited, mind you. I was a young bride trying to set up my first home and writing thank you notes and starting a new job, and I was getting used to being married. Printing anything off that disc seemed virtually impossible. I knew it was going to take hours to even scroll through all the images, much less choose the ones I wanted and decided on how to print them, etc. So I just didn't. I put off this task as weeks turned into months and months turned into years, and 7 or 8 years later, I'm embarrassed to say, I realized I still hadn't printed anything from my wedding. So I got a few small 5x7s made, and that was it. That's all I did for many more years. I know for a fact that if our photographer had reached out in those early days and offered to help me make an album or some art for our new home, I would have been thrilled and I would have taken him up on it. So remember, you are truly offering your clients a valuable service, and you can be proud about that. So many photographers are not willing to take that extra step to make sure their clients are able to enjoy those photographs both now and for generations. But you are, and so that's something very special and something you can market. Secondly, set expectations. I say this so often because it really is the key to avoiding a ton of issues that can pop up down the road. When you're incorporating IPS into your workflow, start by setting expectations upfront as clearly as you can. Right from the start, you want to discuss your process and emphasize how your ordering process is going to make your clients' lives easier. In order to make this a smooth experience, you've got to make sure everyone's on the same page from the very beginning. So you want to be showing your products right away on your website and your social media prominently. You want to discuss your process and how you incorporate photo products into your brand the very first time that you meet with clients. Don't spring this on them later. Let them know upfront. You also want to show your sample products from that very first initial meeting or consultation. Be showing them what it is that you sell and discuss any expectations that you have so everyone is clear and comfortable. All right. How to handle engagement and bridal sessions. Weddings are a very exciting time, and a lot of couples are eager to add on additional sessions to their wedding collection if you offer this. So one obvious thing is engagement sessions. But other photographers also sell bridal sessions, boudoir, day after sessions, and other options as add-on. So how do you work these into your sales strategy when you're already being hired to photograph the wedding? First of all, I recommend offering a complimentary engagement session with each wedding collection, with the assumption that most clients are going to take advantage of this offer. But this is important to note. You're only making the session itself complimentary. Any prints or digital images that they want to purchase can be done at an IPS appointment after that engagement session. Here's the key: using your regular portrait price list. Now, here's the reason for this. Your goal when booking a wedding is likely to work with these clients again for other milestones. You want to build a relationship with these clients that is going to last. You want them to use you for anniversary portraits and maternity and newborn portraits and family portraits down the road, etc., etc. So if you can start with this sales method, your clients will be very comfortable with this and will easily transition into long-term family portrait clients without any confusion. So I recommend making this engagement session a complimentary addition to every wedding package, as I said, and let the clients know that you recommend these sessions. You want them to do an engagement session. It's a great way to get to know each other and make sure everyone is as comfortable as possible on the wedding day. It's kind of like a trial run. And in addition, you're going to get great portraits that they will love. They can purchase whatever they would like from that engagement session once they've seen the proofs. And of course, you're going to tell them that you offer a selection of wall art, prints, albums, and you're going to show them samples of those things. Okay, but what if they ask to skip the engagement session? If someone asks you if they can skip the engagement session, it's usually in order to save money. You can let them know that they're certainly welcome to skip it, but you don't recommend it because it's not going to change the price of the collection since it is offered complimentary, right? So that's what I always tell anyone who asks. I mean, you're welcome to skip it. I don't recommend it. I think it's really helpful for us to have that trial run together. And also, it doesn't actually change the price at all. So I would just go ahead and schedule it. When it comes to those other add-on sessions, like bridal sessions and day after sessions, I would recommend doing the same thing. Offer those as optional add-ons by charging a simple flat session fee. That's going to cover your time to photograph that session, maybe, $400, $500. But again, that's just for the session itself. Any prints or products can be purchased separately, just like a regular portrait session and at your regular prices. Speaking of prices, let's talk pricing. What to include in your wedding collections? Okay, I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. Weddings are complicated events which can cause a lot of stress for couples. So anything you can do to simplify this process and make your offerings easy to understand will go a long way towards winning the trust of your clients. If you choose to offer collections to your wedding clients, and many photographers do, that's totally okay. A few basic keys, though, are recommended. Number one, keep it simple. Number two, don't offer too many collections. And we're going to talk about each of these. Three, offer a variety of products, and then 4, add upsell options. So let's dive into these a little bit. How simple is simple? I always say that if you can't explain your pricing to a 4th grader in about under 3 minutes, it's too complicated. Your pricing ideally should fit on a single page and be easy for you to memorize and explain to your clients. Anything that is confusing or complex, or if it needs asterisks or takes a PhD to understand, it's far too much and it will confuse your clients. And remember, a confused mind cannot choose. So to keep this simple, you don't want to offer too many collections or options for people to choose from. I recommend 3 basic collections, with the middle one being the one you plan to sell most often. The lowest collection should be priced high enough to still be profitable for you, but it shouldn't contain nearly as many perks as the middle. The goal is to move people away from that lowest collection and towards the middle, right? The top collection should be priced uncomfortably high for you and have all the bells and whistles. People will occasionally purchase it, but more often it's going to help serve as a price anchor to make that middle collection look more comfortably affordable. Again, steering people towards what you want them to purchase. Okay, let's address sort of the elephant in the room, digital files. You are likely wondering how to fit digitals into your pricing. Well, I'm going to go with the basic assumption that most photographers these days do want to offer digital images in each collection. There are some photographers who choose not to sell digitals at all, but my guess is probably 9 out of 10 wedding photographers do sell the digitals in some way. So how do we fit them into our collections? So I recommend building each collection around a variety of products and a certain number of digital images. So for example, along with a 10 by 10 album, with their favorite 100 images, which, by the way, you can upsell to include more images or additional cover options, things like that. That collection could also include a $500 print credit, which they can redeem towards small or large prints for their home, and then also a certain number of digital images. Now, the key here is to include some digitals, but you don't need to overwhelm your client with enormous number, like my nightmare of having 1,200 images to go through after my wedding. You also want to offer some printed products in each collection so they have something to walk away with. I like each of my clients to have an album and a wall portrait, so I'm going to include some version of those in each collection. And then lastly, you want to encourage them to order more. So getting them started with a print credit can be a great way to do that. With variety like this in each package, you're sure to please your clients, but without overwhelming them with too many options. I think 3 to 4 products per collection is plenty. You don't need dozens of options here. It's just going to overwhelm them. Okay, let's talk upsell options. This is where it gets fun. You can allow people to purchase extra hours of coverage, extra artwork like albums and prints and guest books, things like that. The key here is, again, not to overwhelm them by throwing out all this information at once. When you are sitting with your client at the consultation and making recommendations for, which collection might be the best fit, you're also going to want to recommend any add-ons that you think will be ideal for them at that time. And then later, you can even encourage them to add on more products, between their engagement session and the wedding, or even after the wedding. Remember, the goal of a salesperson is to keep selling until the client says no. That doesn't mean you have to harass your clients or be pushy or anything, but it does mean that if you have an idea for a product or a service that's going to fit their needs and make their life easier or better in some way, don't hesitate to let them know and then allow them to decide if that's something they would like to add. All right, how to actually run this in-person sales session. Let's get down to nuts and bolts. I think that even photographers who've done IPS for portrait sales can be a little overwhelmed when it comes to selling weddings because the number of images is so much higher. Sitting down with a gallery of 30 images is very different than a gallery of, 600 images. So how do you manage this without overwhelming your clients? First, let's back up and go over a couple of the basic tips for IPS really quickly. Number one, you're going to set the expectation ahead of time that ordering will be done in person. So there's no question about that and exactly when it's going to be done. Typically for me, I'm meeting with them about 3 to 6 weeks after the wedding, just kind of depending on their schedule and mine. Number two, communicate thoroughly about your processes and why your methods make their lives easier and better. It's not about you, it's about them. Number three, show products frequently and build their desire to own what you are selling. And number four, prepare your clients for the sale by letting them know what is going to take place and encouraging all decision makers to attend. And we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, next, you want to prepare the gallery and consider preparing some wall mock-ups for your client. These can be really powerful to get them excited about what you are offering them. You might even consider preparing an album mock-up. This way they can envision what that album is going to look like. Next, have sample products available for them to handle every time you meet with them, from that very initial consultation all the way through to the sale. And then the actual IPS is quite simple. You're going to show the images, help them choose what they want by kind of guiding them through that decision-making process, and then just take their order and collect their payment. Sounds easy, doesn't it? All right, who should attend? One fun thing about weddings is that you often have more people who are interested and invested in seeing the images than just the couple themselves. I absolutely love asking the couple if they would like for any other family members to attend and consider purchasing some of the photos for themselves. My favorite wedding sale included not just the couple, but they brought both sets of parents, both sets of grandparents, a few siblings, and a bridesmaid or two. It was like a whole party. We met in their home, and then since I knew it was going to be a large group, I actually brought my projector and showed the images on the wall at a large size so everybody could see. Almost everyone there decided to purchase at least a few prints for themselves, and then the parents purchased a nice selection of wall art and albums. Of course, the couple also purchased their own stuff. So this can end up being really lucrative, and it's a very efficient use of your time as well, since you're selling to several families at once rather than trying to set up multiple meetings or, sell on Zoom. Okay, which images should you show? So I don't know about you, but trying to sit through a slideshow of like all 800 images sounds terrible to me. After a while, I think my eyes would glaze over. It would just be really hard to appreciate the images, much less make any decisions. So I recommend only showing about 100 to 150 images during this appointment, kind of a highlight reel from the wedding day. Select the images that are the most appropriate for wall art in particular. So you're going to focus on portraits especially. There's no need, to show like detailed images of the food on the buffet or anything like that at this point. They're going to receive those images later from their digital gallery, but since they don't really make ideal wall portraits, just leave them out of this presentation. As long as clients know what to expect, they're going to trust you to show the images that you think are the highlight reel from the day and choose from those when they select their wall art. How about mock-ups? Many photographers have good success with showing pre-designed mock-ups of wall art, especially on the client's wall. You can ask your clients to send images of their walls before the sale and then use a program like Photoshop or an ordering software like Fundy or Enview to show how the portraits are going to look at actual size on the wall. You can also create a mock-up of their album design using some of the images you think would work best to tell the story of their day. This gives clients a great head start in visualizing their albums. And if you do this ahead of time, usually they'll only request a few changes to your design, which saves you tons of time compared to asking them to start the process by choosing all the images that they want themselves. Anytime we can make suggestions or prepare a mock-up for them to view, we're doing them a huge favor and also making our own jobs easier in the long run. So I think it's worth taking a few extra minutes to do that. Now, the sales session flow is pretty much the same as for a portrait session for me. It's a simple 13, 14 step flow I recommend following. Of course, you can tweak this to your own personal preference once you've had some experience. But if you're new, feel free to borrow my workflow to get started. Okay, so number one, we are just going to relax and approach this really as comfortably as possible. We're going to greet them warmly. Remember, by this point, you guys have been through a lot together. A wedding day brings you a lot closer because you spend hours and hours with them. So you really are a friend at this point, in addition to being a vendor. So, you greet them warmly like a friend. I like to sit close, not creepily close, but like on the same side of the table or of the room. I don't want to be in opposition to my clients, feeling like I'm being salesy and pushy. I'm going to be sitting with them, kind of enjoying watching them experience this moment for the first time, enjoying helping them make those decisions, kind of like a trusted advisor or friend. Number four, let them know what to expect. So I just simply talk through what we're going to do here today, what order we're going to do things in, just so they know exactly what to expect. Then I'll dim the lights and show the highlight slideshow of about 100 to 150 images, usually set to some music that I have the rights to use for that. Then I will show sample products. I'll just bring some albums and some wall art and prints with me so they can see those pieces. Next, it's time to show mock-ups. If I've made any mock-ups of the wall art or the albums, I'll show them that. And then I'll just kind of talk with them about what they're looking for, determine their desires. Do they want to upgrade the album? Do they want something for the wall? Do they want a gift for, parents or grandparents? So we just kind of talk about what they're looking for. And of course, answer any pricing questions that come up along the way. Then we just guide them through the decision-making process. So, if they say they want wall art, I say, okay, great. Do you like the look of a framed print or a canvas? Do you like this size or this size? Where's it going to go in the home? Do you want to walk over there and measure that space together? So this is a great way to kind of help them through the decision-making process because it can feel a little overwhelming for them. Then just start to fill their order using the shopping cart feature in your software or even just pen and paper. You don't have to be fancy. Make sure they don't forget anything. This is a great time to mention any holidays coming up, gift giving, grandparents or other family members who are far away. They may want to add on gifts for them. Finalize that order and collect payment, and you are on your way. It really is that simple. It might seem like a lot to remember at first, but with some practice, it really becomes second nature. I used to be so afraid and nervous when I was doing sales at the very beginning, but I can say now that honestly, IPS is my very favorite part of the process and something I would never, ever give up. It's the place where that whole experience kind of culminates into this rewarding emotional outcome for everybody. Clients are happy, I'm happy, everyone leaves happy at the end of the night. So if you haven't tried selling in person yet, I would strongly encourage you to give it a go. You've got nothing to lose and a lot to gain, I have to say. All right, last question here: how to handle past wedding clients. When you're ready to start IPS for your weddings, don't forget about those previous clients that you may have had months or years ago. This is a great time to reach out and send them a personalized email, or better yet, pick up the phone and call them. And after you catch up a little bit, promote your new service and products. So let them know now what you can provide for them that maybe you couldn't in the past. For an extra kick, you can include a mock-up of some wall art featuring some images from their wedding or a few sample album pages. So, kind of help them reminisce about their wedding day, bring back all those warm and fuzzy memories, and then get the ball rolling. You can do a virtual sale, or you can set up a meeting to discuss those print and product options that you can now provide that you couldn't before. Don't be embarrassed reaching out and saying, hey, I've upgraded the level of my service. I can now provide something even better for you. Are you interested in seeing that? Chances are they're going to be happy to hear from you. It might kind of jog your memory about potentially future sessions if you do also family sessions and things like that. But also it'll be a great way for them to reminisce about the wedding and maybe even add on some extra products that they weren't able to in the past. So that is my approach to wedding IPS. I think if you keep in mind that we are a service-based industry and it's all about providing excellent service to your clients, you're going to be happy. You're going to make more money. Your clients are going to be happy. They're going to be getting a higher level of service from you. So it's a win-win all around. I hope you'll give it a try.